I'll be reading the disadvantage. So the affirmatives plan is to legalize recreational use and the retail sales of marijuana to bring California's debt out, or to bring California out of debt, and to to decrease the cost of education. But the disadvantages for the implications of legalizing recreational use of marijuana outweighs the tax benefits that we will receive. Marijuana is addictive, and this is why, according to the National Council of Alcoholism and Drug Dependence Incorporated, the brain does develop a tolerance to marijuana, which means that over time you'll require greater amounts to achieve the desired effects. Chronic use of marijuana can lead to dependence, particularly among people who suffer from antisocial personality and conduct disorders. Withdrawal from marijuana is generally mild and short-lived. Symptoms include restlessness, irritability, mild agitation, insomnia, nausea, and cramping. And so that's my point A, marijuana is addictive. Going into my point B, the statistics in 2011, there were 18.1 million users of marijuana, and out of those, 4.2 were addicted. The result came from a 2011 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, summary of national findings with people that were people that entered into abuse treatment. In 2011, marijuana was the most commonly used illicit drug with 18.1 million users. It was by 80.5% of current illicit drug users. And the percentage of persons age 12 or older who were current users of marijuana in 2011, 18.1 million, or 7%, were similar to the estimates of 2010. Marijuana was an illicit drug with the highest rate of the past year dependence on abuse in 2011, followed by pain relievers and cocaine. Of the 6.5 million persons aged 12 or older classified with illicit drug dependence or abuse in 2011, 4.2 had marijuana dependence. Moving on to my point C, long-term use and addiction to marijuana leads to many health problems in the future for users. This is from Substance Abuse and Mental Health Disorders Administration's the TEDS treatment episode data set. Report was in August 13, 2013. Research increasingly confirms that marijuana use is harmful. Acute symptoms of marijuana intoxication included impaired short-term memory, attention, judgment, and cognitive functions, as well as increased heart rate. Symptoms that can persist for weeks after the immediate effects of marijuana have worn off, include insomnia and possibly impaired memory and learning. When continued over years, the pattern of heavy and delayed and almost daily use can increase some health risks, including marijuana dependence, chronic cough or respiratory impairment, cardiovascular disease, and adverse effects on psychological development and mental health. D, legal drug use such as alcohol and tobacco far outweigh the economic costs that to treat addiction from these current legal drugs such as alcohol and tobacco. It far outweighs what the taxes bring in. Sources from the National Drug Control Strategy 2011 with the U.S. President's stamp of approval. Our current legal drugs, alcohol and tobacco, are examples of commercialized products with addiction potential and high usage rates fueled by easy availability. Although these products are taxed, neither produce net incomes benefit to society. The healthcare and criminal justice costs associated with alcohol and tobacco far surpasses the tax revenue they generate. Point E, the impact of this all is the legalization of marijuana would decrease the perception of its will decrease the perceived harm that it produces. The source of American Society of Addiction Medicine, ASAP concurs that AP legalization would have unintended consequences of decreasing the perceived harm associated with marijuana use, and thus would associate with increase in rates of marijuana use. So if we legalize it, we're sending a message to our children and everyone else that marijuana use is okay and it's not that harmful. So our increase will go up, or the use of it will go up. The going to my point F, legalization of marijuana will lead to an increase in marijuana related crimes in the Source College on Problems of Drug Dependence, Statements on National Drug Policy. The more available a drug of abuse, the more people use it, the more is consumed by the user, and the higher is the number of users who encounter problems caused by heavy use. Therefore, lethal controls, including but not necessarily limited to prohibitions that restrict availability, are effective means of reducing consumption, reducing drug-induced problems, and discourage initial use by children. That is incorrect data. American Society of Addiction Medicine on white paper on state level proposals. One of the major problems is that, so currently marijuana is the most common drug involved in drug driving and significant cause of highway crashes, injuries, and death. New research from meta-analysis shows that marijuana use doubles the risk of crash. Habitual marijuana use is associated with increased risk of crash injury. Basically what they're stating is that drug driving will increase, but everything from minor infractions to marijuana-related crimes.
Class 6.
Can you define in subpoint B where you discussed 18.1 million users and 4 million users were addicted? How can you discuss what addiction means in that situation?
Addiction is described by the people that are treated. So the statistic, I think what you guys keep confusing is that this statistic is drawn by people that are admitted into addiction centers. They can't account a statistic for people that currently use it and aren't being treated for addiction. So there's no way you can tell who is addicted that isn't being treated. So this statistic is derived from people that are being treated for addiction.
And then can you reread subpoint C for me as far as long-term addiction cause and short cause?
Okay, you want me to read the tagline and the evidence?
Just the evidence for me.
All right, research increasingly confirms that marijuana use is harmful. Acute symptoms of marijuana intoxication include impaired short-term memory, attention, judgment, and cognitive functions, as well as increased heart rate. Symptoms that can persist for weeks after the immediate effects of marijuana have worn off include insomnia and possibly impaired memory and learning. When continued over years, the pattern of heavy, daily, or almost daily use can increase some health risks, including marijuana dependence, chronic cough or respiratory impairment, cardiovascular disease, and adverse effects on psychological development and mental health.